Creating realistic environments seems easy when the pros do it. But when you try it, well, you probably know. So what do they know that you don't? What is the secret to real 3D environments? Now, to answer that question, let's first determine the goal of 3D realism, which is to fool the viewer into perceiving the image, video, or game as if it were real by mimicking the properties of light, materials, and the real world in general. So how does this work? I want you to have another good look at this photo and take a second to think to yourself, what is it I'm seeing? The answer is something I realized the other day while taking my dog for a walk. And as we were walking along this nicely shaded path in a forest, my eyes went over all the greenery around me, and then it hit me. Layers. So let's do a little experiment. What if I told you that the photo I just showed you isn't actually a photo? Would you believe that? Or what about this one? Is this one real? Or maybe this one? Can you actually spot the real image? Now, I was kind of messing with you here because they are actually all fake. Fooled ya, huh? Okay, so this goes to show that layers work. But what do I mean by layers? Think of a hamburger. Individually, each layer of a burger is great, but only when they come together do you get the best flavor. This is very similar. The layers will create, add together, and provide the best, realist result. Now, I guarantee that this technique works, but the proof is in the pudding, so I'll prove it to you by building up an environment using 3 layers to be precise. Now, since I'm using Blender 3D, I'm using the power of geometry nodes to create this environment, as this allows for a flexible and computationally light result. In fact, I actually use a free geometry nodes powered add-on by Graswald called G-Scatter, which allows me to do all of this relatively quick and easy. The add-on, besides being free, also comes with a number of free assets, with more releasing in the near future. But if you want, you can also purchase a monthly subscription to Graswald's ever-growing list of production-ready nature assets. Or alternatively, you can simply buy each asset individually if you don't want to commit to something monthly. The great thing about all of these assets is that they're all scanned together in their natural environment, which means they all blend together, and this really helps in adding realism. The truth is, you can absolutely do all of this without using the add-on, building custom geometry node setups that would do all of the work for you. But why would you? This add-on is free to use and comes with free assets and makes this a lot easier and saves you a bunch of time. So I don't see why you wouldn't use that. And that's why I'm using G-Scatter throughout this entire video, as well as for many of my environment and scenery projects. Now, using layers, I'll create a meadow to show you how this works. If you did purchase any assets, you can add them to the add-on by first selecting an emitter, then clicking the asset icon, and finally clicking Install Asset. Just locate the downloaded assets and voila, it works. If you're not using Graswald's assets, however, just select the asset in the outliner, first import it, and then click Scatter Selected to scatter those. Now select your landscape as an emitter, choose an asset, and click Scatter Selected. Set the density to create a generous amount of them, and there you have it. A real environment is very diverse, and therefore you don't just need one type of foliage, you need many types instead. This is a rookie mistake that a lot of beginners in Blender make. They tend to use, for example, just one type of grass, making everything very homogeneous in how it looks, which is very unrealistic compared to true life. For my scene, I'm using all the ones from the Bee Meadow Ecotope by Graswald, so it's pretty easy for me to decide on which assets to use, but in your case, just make sure you're using enough variation and assets that make sense together. You can actually find tons of them, both free and paid, online. To choose what works together in a biome when using these random assets that you found online, try and use reference. Or maybe just get away from your computer and go check out some nature outside. Try and use different size plants, dead plants, leaves, grasses, sticks, and everything else that belongs in a certain environment. Scattering these different species and assets creates a rich depth of detail which is grounded in reality. Again, reference will be your best friend here. This layer forms the base of your environment, on top of which the other layers will add additional realism. The goal here is to create a diverse biome that feels natural and varied. By doing that, you've wrapped up layer 1 in this journey to achieve realism, scattering. But don't think you're done just yet, because you'll need this next layer to bump up the realism to another level. Begin by selecting any of your scatter systems and go to the Distribution tab in the add-on. Gscatter is built using effects, and that makes making changes very easy. By adding one of the mask effects, you can create a mask that affects the scattering of your assets. You can tweak the settings of the effect, like for example the color ramp, to control how it looks. This will have two benefits. One, it adds realism as plants usually grow in groups, if you will. And two, it removes a bunch of assets from your scene, making the entire project lighter on your computer. Additionally, you'll want to do the same thing in the Skill tab. You can either add a similar effect or even add more variation using a different mask type for the skill. So like for example, you can use a noise mask for the skill and use the Musgrave mask for the distribution. This will add additional randomness, which again adds to the realism. An issue I ran into, and you'll probably experience as well when adding rocks or trees to your environments, is that your scattered plants tend to grow inside of them, which isn't exactly real, with exceptions of course. Conveniently, there's another effect layer called proximity, which can fix just this. It's quite simple. You set a proximity target, like for example your rock scatter system. Disable this little option called use pivots only, and again it just works. You can tweak the curve and the distance multiplier here to control the effect, but overall this should be very simple to do. Now it's time to do this to all your scatter systems. The goal to all of this is to create some much needed variation in size, which again adds to the realism, as younger plants tend to be smaller, grow less around certain objects, and overall grow in different speeds depending on light and water. This is also a great point in the process to check whether your result is matching your reference. If things don't match up, you might need to hop back to layer 1 and add more types of foliage, masking effects, and etc. just to get closer to your reference. As with everything in this video, you'll want to add multiple distribution and skill mask effects. Do that, and layer 2, shapes and sizes, will definitely become your best friend in achieving realism. Now all that's left is the one final layer that's truly a make it or break it in making your environments come alive. Well, it is if you're intending on doing an environment animation. And if not, this layer will at least add another 5% of realism to your images, which makes it a must in achieving the most realistic result possible. This layer will be the final addition, adding to both the variation in assets and the variation in size and distribution to complete the layer stack and get the best result possible. Let's take a step back from Blender and again compare our reference to our current scene. What do you think this final layer needs to be similar to the reference? Essentially, what thing is missing here? If your answer was "I'm not seeing enough movement," then you are completely correct. The sway of leaves, rustling of grass and plants, and movement of branches turns even the most accurate representation of an actual 3D environment into something alive. So now that we've settled on the fact that you absolutely need movement in your scene, how do you go about it? Now Gscatter has another very simple solution for this, which is why we use it in the rotation tab, and it's called a wind effect. This will animate your plants or whatever you've scattered to look like there's a wind force in play. The great thing here is that this isn't done using a force field inside of Blender, but instead using geometry nodes, so there's no simulation needed, making this very light on your computer. You'll want to tweak the settings to get a desirable result. I like to use a very low speed and strength with a lot of detail, which gives enough variation to make individual plants move but keeps their sway subtle. If your scene has a lot of wind though, make sure to change these settings accordingly. Now, you don't have to set this up for every scatter system, since Gscatter allows you to create linked effects. If you just select another asset in the list, click on this icon over here in the rotation tab and type in W, which in this case stands for wind, it's automatically going to add that exact same effect to this asset. These are all linked, so changes affect all systems sharing this effect. The goal for layer 3 is to add movement to your assets and make them come alive. Even in still images, this will ensure another layer of variation and detail. To summarize, we've now created an environment using 3 layers: scattering, shapes and sizes, and movement. Respectively, these are made up of multiple smaller aspects like species, size differentiation, proximity masking, and wind movement. And so combined, all these layers create a complete environment, true to nature, and give you the key to real 3D environments. But I said I'd prove it, so here is the final result of my bee meadow environment using these 3 exact layers. What do you think? Did I achieve a realistic environment? Does it contain enough detail, variation, and randomness layered on top of each other to make you believe this image is real? I'll let you be the judge of that. But I think this absolutely goes to show that layers are the key to realism, and that you, by learning this principle, have given yourself a head start as a 3D artist. But there's something else that you'll need to understand about working in 3D that might just make an even bigger difference. So check out this video where I'll show you what it is and how you can use it to make your next project more realistic than ever.